Hi, welcome to episode 490 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I also blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, where I post every episode's show notes. I have an Etsy shop where I sell my handspun yarns and knitting patterns called The Corner of Knit and Tea. And I also have accounts on Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky, where I am at Fluffy Kira, and you can find all of my crafty pursuits there. I know that was a little out of order, and I'm a little out of practice. Hi! How are you? It is Monday, September 30th. I can hardly believe the month of September is over, and it has been 3 weeks, and I am out of practice. So, where was I last week? Unfortunately, I succumbed to COVID. So I had told you the last time I podcasted that I was going to take a week off because I was going up to Hamilton, Missouri and taking part in Missouri Star's birthday bash. I work for Missouri Star Quilt Company, and 2 weeks ago was their sweet 16th birthday, and they celebrate every year by throwing a party with a whole bunch of in-town events and goings on. And so I went up to Hamilton for several days and took part in that, and I had a great time. But unfortunately, it is the season, things are going around, and by the time I came home on Friday night and by Saturday morning, I already had a sore throat and a stuffy nose, and I was like, uh-oh, I got the ick. And at that point, I didn't really know what it was, but by Sunday, I was feeling really pretty crappy, and I went ahead and took a COVID test just to see, and it popped up positive, like, right away. So, unfortunately, it's my second go-around with COVID. I have been incredibly lucky in that I am as vaccinated as I can be. I've had all my boosters, and I actually had just gotten another jab, or another shot, vaccination, about a week or so right before I went to Hamilton. So, it didn't have enough time to really be effective, but I had actually just gotten another vaccine, which I'm sort of thankful for because now you're not supposed to get the vaccine until 90 days after when you've had it, so I would have had to wait basically till the new year to get another one. So it wasn't terrible. I think because I've had a bunch of vaccines, it mostly felt like a sinus infection, although the fatigue is no joke. I pretty much spent all of last week. I got up and did a little bit of work each day because I had a few tasks that are not easily designated to other folks. And so I would get up in the morning and I would do like an hour or an hour and a half's worth of work. And then I would lay down on the couch and sleep for several hours. And then I would get up about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and do a couple more things and then go back to sleep on the couch. And finally on Friday, I worked most of the day and I did not take a nap. And then this weekend, I pretty much just laid around and was still pretty exhausted. I ran a whole bunch of errands on Saturday, and normally I just go run errands and then I come home and craft and everything. And I ran a bunch of just normal errands on Saturday, masked, of course. And well, I should say, I tested negative on Friday. My first negative test was on Friday and my second was on Saturday. So by Saturday, I was like, okay, I'm sort of over this. My symptoms had abated. And so I ran out and did a few things. I had to pick up a few things at the market. I went to the drugstore, you know, like no big things, but just a whole bunch of little errands, things that I hadn't gotten to because I had basically spent the week quarantining at home. And I came home exhausted and took another 3-hour nap on the couch. So today I'm back to work fully. I am working through my list. I am actually making really good progress. I had a bunch of stuff to do this morning because I finally just kind of gave up at the end of last week and said, you know what, I'm just going to catch up next week. So that is kind of where I have been and what I have been up to. I wish I had more exciting news to tell you, but unfortunately I don't. I do, however, have lots of crafting things to show you because it's been 3 weeks since I've seen you, and I'm pleased to report that I am tentatively back to knitting. So the biggest thing that I would like to show you is that I actually have been working on chickens. And I've talked about this many times before. There is a business in town called the City Girl Farm, and I will go ahead and put a link to it in the show notes. And they are the home of the chicken footstool, and they create, it's essentially supposed to be a footstool, but I think of them more as works of art than I do as footstools. But it's basically sort of an upholstered, artist-inspired chicken. And the insides of the chicken are made from wood and brass fixings, and so the chickens do kind of move a little bit, the heads can bob a little bit, and then we cover them, well, I shouldn't say we, the business covers them with stuffing and kind of a sewn piece of muslin, and then on top we layer all kinds of knitted and felted items. So we work with 100% wool, and then there are felters, and there are spinners, and there are knitters, and we all are kind of parts of the chickening team, and so we create all these different things. And so before Birthday Bash and before I had gotten sick, I had a whole bunch of yarn to basically turn into a gradient chicken that is kind of going from kind of a natural or an antique white through a little bit of yellow to gold and a few brown hues. And so I have lots of different things to show you here. So these are all patches where somebody has hand spun the yarn, and then I have gone ahead and knit them. And so this one is actually a combination of two colors, but we knit them in a variety of loops and long loops and garter and all different colors. And sometimes I do multiple sizes. These are all roughly the same size because they are going to use them in kind of a gradient across the chicken. So I'll pull out some of the, so this is kind of at the far end of the gradient where it's mostly white and yellow with just a little bit of honey, and then you've got the white and yellow and honey and all of those with more honey in there. And so this is going to be kind of a whole piece of a chicken. So, and I don't know whether they're going to start with the dark at the head or the light at the head, but that is what I've been working on. And these are just 5. I probably have, well, I have more than a dozen here in this bag, and I only have maybe 2 more pieces to do before I turn it in on Friday. So, and it's going to be one of the big chickens. The chickens come in large and small, and this is definitely going to be for a big one. So, it's about 800 yards worth of yarn, and I've worked through that in the last, I guess about 2.5 to 3 weeks. So, I'm pleased because it means that I'm kind of back into knitting. So the other thing that so the other project that I have been working on, well, I should say the other projects that I have been working on, let's talk about that. I'm still sticking with knitting for a bit. I am still trying to bang out that summer top that I really wanted to knit over the summer and couldn't get to because I was having so much trouble with my wrist. And so I am still working on it, and I have put in a couple nights worth of work on it. So not a ton, but I have got a little bit more, and I got the sweater to the point where it was knit in the round. And this, let me, okay, let's, this is the Hipster Top by Joji Locatelli, and it is a riff on her hipster shawl, which featured some motifs that had long loops kind of cabled or twisted across each other. So that is kind of the, it's a little hard to see, but that is the motif right there that was in the hipster shawl, and so the top has it at the shoulders. And then it's supposed to be a V-necked tee, but the V was a little bit extreme for me, so I went ahead and sort of modified it so it's a little bit, it's a cross between a V and a scoop neck. So I ended up casting on a bunch sort of at the end rather than going all the way down to the V because I didn't want the V to be quite as deep. And now I am into the sweater, and you can see that I joined in the round a couple inches ago. And this is kind of where I last left off, but I have probably done maybe about 2 inches on this. So not a lot, but a little bit, and sort of slow and steady wins the race, I guess. I could just go to the other side because it would be easier. So this is what I have done so far. I think when I last left off and I talked to you, I was on like maybe the first light pink. And so I've done a few more stripes of that. And honestly, I am just going to keep going all the way down to the bottom of the sweater. There is a measurement. I think it's 10 or 11 inches. I can't remember. But honestly, I think I'm probably, I like my shirts a little bit on the long side. I'm not going to make it cropped. I'm probably just going to go about till I run out. And the deal is that there's no other treatment. The sleeves are kind of finished off in a little bit of garter stitch so that they roll a little bit. The neck edge is finished with some slip stitches so it rolls a little bit, but like there's no finishing treatment. They're done. So basically I can just knit roughly until I run out of yarn, and then there will be a small ribbed hem that will be in my darker color. So basically I can knit until I have enough left to do the ribbed hem, and then I'm done. So the yarn that I am using is Treasure Goddess Yarns. That's my friend Christine. And she is absolutely lovely. She has Treasure Goddess Yarns, and these are her yak her yak sock yarn, which is, I used to have a label here, and I don't know if I do. Let me see. I've talked about this so many times. It will be in the show notes. It's her yak sock, so it's yak, superwash merino, and a little bit of nylon. And the colors are Song of the Sirens, which I love. This is her burgundy. And then From the Depths, She Rose, and she did it. The yak sock base has some dark, the yak fiber is dark, so it's kind of, it's not like a pure bleached white like some of the regular sock yarns are, so it takes the color like really dark and almost mysteriously, and it just gives it kind of a moody look. And I really, really like how the colors are working up together. And so I am just going to keep working on this little bit by little bit. And obviously it's not going to be done in time to wear this summer, but it will be ready for the spring and next summer. And I might even be able to wear it under another sweater in the fall. So that's kind of a good look at the cutters. The colors are subtly variegated, particularly the lighter pink, but I think it's going to be really nice when I get done with it. I am enjoying it. I just haven't had a lot of time to spend on it. I've been spending most of my time on chickens. And then for the last 2 nights, so this weekend, as I was sort of in my recovery mode, I was thinking about what's been going on and where we are in the year. And my goodness, we're almost to October. October 1st is tomorrow. And I was thinking about the holidays and the things that I wanted to do before the holidays. I'm not really going to be doing a lot of holiday gifts, but I was thinking about kind of what knits I would love to finish off by the end of the year and things I have committed to. And one of the things that I committed to is when I saw my parents in August, a couple months ago, my mom brought back a sweater that I had knit for her and told me that she really would love some modifications on the sleeves. She's my mom, she gets to do that. And I knit the sweater in absentia with her not here, so the sleeves were a little bit too wide and too long. I knit her a night out cardigan, which also is by Joji Locatelli, and I had knit one for myself and then I knit one for her. And I used Manos del Uruguay Alegria, the sock yarn, and I can't remember what the color is, but I'm sure I can find it. It's been a while because I knit this, I think, last year. Sometime last year. And so it is a really, really nice cardigan. It's got this, it's pretty simple. It's just kind of a basic cardigan, raglan shaping, top down. And then it's got this really nice lace panel on either side of the button band. And so I knit that for her, and my mom is a size extra small. She's tiny, tiny. She's 5'2". And I followed the pattern, although not exactly, interestingly enough. I followed the pattern to what I thought was exactly. And I went ahead and worked on, I don't think I followed the pattern exactly for the sleeves. Like I followed it, I had the right stitch counts and whatever, but I think I just kind of did my own thing on the sleeves, because when I went back and looked at the instructions for the sleeves, they were different from what I had done. There were like it called for several inches of ribbing at the cuffs, and I had not done that. So this is the first sleeve on there, and that is what I had done. And my mom's concern was that the sleeves were kind of wide. I had done some decreasing, but not aggressively, and that they were long. She just has short arms. She's tiny. And the sleeves on the sweater actually called for them to be knit to 20 inches, and I don't think I did that, but I think I did 18 at least, or maybe 18 and a half. And when my mom cuffed them up to where she wanted them, it looked more like 15 and a half. So, so the good news is, there's plenty of good news. The good news is this sweater was top down raglan, and so basically all I had to do was rip the sleeve out. And this is the sleeve that still exists, but the other one is ripped out, and I'll show you that in a minute. So all I had to do was start at the cuff and basically unravel back to the top of the sleeve, back to where I picked up the sleeve stitches that I had put on hold. And then I could more aggressively decrease. And the good news is that because I'm going to be decreasing the stitches in the round, so I'll be knitting fewer stitches in the round, and I'll be knitting a couple inches fewer on the sleeve, I didn't even have to find more yarn. I'm just going to use the exact same yarn, and I'll end up with a little bit left over, but I didn't even have to find the leftovers. I didn't have to match. I didn't have to do anything. So what I did is on Saturday, I thought, you know, October 1st is coming. My mother, I'm sure, would like this sweater back when I go visit her in November. So, and there's no reason that I can't get into this, and I should put my sweater aside and just make sure this is done for her. So that's kind of what happened. And I'm pleased to say that not only am I not having a lot of pain on this particular project, the thick and thin yarn that I use for the chickens is a little bit harder on my hands, and so I am kind of limited in how much of that I can do at one time. But when I'm using both the brace that I bought to kind of account for the tendonitis, and I'm working on things that are much smoother and thinner, I'm actually doing really well. So on Saturday, I ripped out the sleeve and I've already got this much back put on. So I'm very excited about that. Like I said, I ripped it out. It doesn't look super neat because this is all a beautiful blocked sweater that was laying in my mom's closet. And this is all the ramen of the stuff that I pulled out, and I didn't bother to straighten it. I didn't cut it, nothing. I literally just went back to the round where I picked up and I started, and I made some aggressive decreases right here. And then I am decreasing slightly faster on the sleeve so that she ends up with a few fewer, and then I think I'm going to do another round of decreases right before the cuff, so the cuff is a little bit snugger. Again, I don't think I'm following all the directions on the pattern. I think I'm just kind of winging it, but I worked through this, and this is probably 5 inches. Let's see. I have a tape measure. Let's actually look. Yeah, this is almost 5 inches, 4.5 inches of reknit, and I only have to go to 15.5. So this is going to work up pretty fast. I'm thinking I might even be able to get this finished this week or early into next week and then finish the other one. So I'm very pleased. This is a good win. I mean, it is a little bit boring that I'm knitting the sleeves over again. It's not exciting by any means, but like I said, her request was not unreasonable, and the fact that I can do it so easily in that I could just unravel it and now I can knit it back using the same yarn. Just picked up my needles and got started. So that is what I'm doing. I actually prefer to knit sleeves on double points if I can, because I find that if I knit them and on a circular needle in the round, then I spend a lot of time adjusting my yarn, and I am actually alternating every other round on the sleeves, which is also why the body I alternated every 2 rounds, because it was a back and forth, and on here I can alternate every round. I probably should alternate every 2 rounds, but I'm not, so it's just going to be a little bit more. And I think, honestly, I think I did the same thing when I did the sleeve before. So, but I think it's just lining up a little bit differently now because it's a little bit less yarn around. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to work on for the next week or two. I know it won't be super exciting for you to see, but it actually is giving me a sense of accomplishment in that I will have this done and ready to return to my mom, and then I can go back to working on things for me. So those are the sweaters in progress. The final bit is I have been doing a little bit of stitching. I have not been doing as much as I thought I would, because I have been doing a little bit more knitting, but I have done a little bit more stitching. I am working on a set of monochromatic folk art images in embroidery from Biko Productions. They are on Etsy, and I have them listed in the show notes. And what I have done is I have purchased 8 of their 12 designs. They're doing a year-long thing where every month is a different monochromatic folk art piece. And I decided I wanted to do all 12. I purchased the first 8 in a bundle. The rest of them weren't available when I purchased in August. And so I'm going to work through them, and then I think ultimately I'm going to turn them into a quilt. So this is the first one. This is January, and I think since we have last talked, I've put in 2 more trees. I've done a bunch of the snowflakes. I started to do some of the holly and kind of get a bunch of that in, the outlines. I kind of started on this one, and I am just kind of taking this bit by bit. I would like to do more on this. I would love to finish this month and get started on the next one, which is reds for February. So basically what I did is I printed out the design that I purchased from Etsy on a PDF. I printed it onto this is peel and stick. It's like a little bit of a stabilizer that you can print the pattern on, and then you can sew through it, and then it is wash away. So when I am done, I can just stick this under the sink and kind of wash away the excess stabilizer, and I will be left with nothing but the embroidery on the block. I am doing these on Kona 10 squares, so they're 10 inches. My hoop is 8 inches, and the motif is, I guess, probably closer to 7 because of the edges, but I'm playing with it, and then when I'm done, when I have all 12 done, I will figure out what I'm going to do with it into a quilt. So this is a long-term project, but gives me something to stitch for, and I'm really, really enjoying this. I should say that the monochromatic designs call for 2 colors of floss for each one, kind of a dark and a light. And because I have a whole box of floss and a bunch of contenders for things like in this range, I went ahead and picked out a whole bunch of different colors. And so I am working through with multiple colors, not just two. And I will continue to do the same thing as I go along. My guess is I'll have to buy some floss along the way, but the project was actually also intended to kind of use up a lot of the colors that I have. So while I found that I bought an extra of the dark green and I bought an extra of the light green, so that I have enough of those to get through all of these motifs. All the other colors I am just using in and out, and if I use them up, I use them up. I'm not super concerned about it. And I will probably do the same thing for future ones, which is I'll probably stick to like 2 main colors, but then supplement with all the other colors. And so if I need to buy a little bit of extra, like this tree took a ton of floss, so I'm concerned that I was concerned that I was going to run out of like my 2 main colors, and this is one of the lightest ones that I have, so I wanted to make sure I had enough to add it in elsewhere. So, but otherwise I have some teals, and this green is like a little bit brighter green, and I'm just kind of having fun playing with the motifs and seeing what I want to do, and working through this. So that is what's on my needles. It occurred to me this week that I haven't spun in weeks. Spinning was actually the cause of my last injury, because I was doing too much of it. And so I'm trying to decide when and how to bring spinning back in. I do have a spin on the wheel. It's been on there, gosh, since July, I think. July and August. And I was working on it a little bit, but my arm just wasn't getting better. So I haven't tried it with the new brace, and I think maybe that's something that I'm gonna do soon, but I think I might get through my mom's sweater first. That's like the only thing that I really need to get done in a timely fashion. Everything else is just things that I might like to get done for the year. I don't think I'm gonna craft anything for the kids this year, but I haven't completely put aside that I could try and bang out a pair of socks for each of them, maybe once my mom's sweater is done. I'd really like to finish that sweater for myself. I have a pair of socks that I started a while ago for myself that I have not finished. I might have picked out a skein from my stash to cast on for the Little Bobbins Knits Christmas Eve cast on for socks. And I have a couple sweaters in mind, and of course the weather is getting a little bit cooler, and I'm starting to think about fall and all things knitting. So we'll see. Like I said, the progress is good. I'm not hurting anymore, and that makes me really overjoyed. It has really brightened my mood quite a bit. And if I could knock a few things out, I think I would feel kind of a sense of accomplishment towards the end of the year. I've talked about this before. I'm a very product-oriented knitter. I really like the finished thing, and since I haven't really been able to finish much this year, it has kind of left me floundering. So I'm hoping maybe I can finish a few things and kind of finish out the year on a good note. So I think that's all I've got for you today. I realized that I didn't do the tea. Technically, it's not tea, it's coffee. I'm drinking out of my Hoops and Yo-Yo mug. They were characters from Hallmark a while ago. They haven't really been kind of phased them out several years ago. So but caffeinate me. That's what I've been doing. And I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you stay healthy and do not get COVID as I have. I'm kind of hoping that maybe I'm done for the season getting sick. I can hope, right? Knock on wood. And I'm wearing my mask again and kind of staying indoors for now because I'm sure I got it. So I was at a bunch of events, and we had a couple nights in the theater that I worked at when I was up in Hamilton, and you know, there were just a few hundred people in one space, and I'm sure that's probably where I came down with it. But I hope not to again. So I hope that you are healthy, that you have some crafting mojo, that you are enjoying the changing of the seasons. If you are in the US and you are on the East Coast, I hope that you are faring well. We have just had a devastating hurricane for some areas of the East Coast and Southeast United States. I hope you are safe. I hope you are happy. And I wish you all the best until I see you again, which is going to be next week. I'm going to try not to take more time off. I might around the holidays, but at least for now, hopefully I'll be back each week because it's unusual for me to take multiple weeks off. Anyway, I wish you the best, and I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy quilting and embroidering and crocheting and whatever craft you choose to pursue. And of course, as always, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.